Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 647 based on novel. So let's start. I'm ancient, I was born before the world appeared and survived before the world began. However, before me, there was still the Celestials. Since the Celestials want to make me their slave, let me destroy them. If I fail, my descendants will be enemies of the Celestials for countless generations until no Celestials remain. 9 drops of soul blood. I gifted them to my 3 sons to lead my ancient clan. When the 9 songs and 3 signs appear, wait for my reincarnation, wait for my inheritor to appear. Wang Lin was sitting inside the ancestral temple and his body had withered like a corpse. His white robe was loose and looked like it was merely draping over his body. In his mind, this voice echoed for 50 years. At first it was only like a murmur, but as time passed, the voice became even more intense, like a roar. Now it was as if someone was constantly roaring in his ear. The heaven-defying will and unwillingness in this voice made Wang Lin's blood boil. As all of his blood boiled, his body could not endure it and started to wither. Right now, he was like a corpse. However, he didn't look weak at all but seemed to vaguely contain shocking vitality and strength. It felt like once Wang Lin's body recovered to the state it was in when he entered the ancestral temple, the power of his physical body would reach a terrifying level. The ancient clan's 3rd trial had 3 calamities. After the ancient race heavenly blood it was the ancient Tao 3 soul splits. After surviving this, the ancient clan member would have their ancient power increased greatly. Many members of the 3 clans who had reached 27 stars and became lords had experienced all 3 trials and 7 calamities. In particular, the last 2 calamities of the 3rd trial had to happen at each clan's ancestral temple. However, due to individual differences, everyone's increase in strength and fortune were different. In 50 years of time, Wang Lin was still sitting there, almost completely motionless. He let the voice echo in his mind, and it was only after Prince Jidu left that Wang Lin felt the arrival of the 3rd trial's 2nd calamity. The roar in his mind became even more intense and his blood seemed to rage even more. A feeling of heat erupted and spread across his body. Ancient Tao 3 soul splits, Wang Lin murmured. From the stone tablet, he had learned that the so-called ancient Tao 3 soul splits would not split his origin soul into 3 parts. Instead, he would have to endure 3 complete splits and fusions. He would have to endure great pain each split and would require great perseverance to fuse his origin soul back together for the 2nd split. After each fusion, his origin soul and body would become much stronger than before. Once he endured 3 cycles, he would have survived this calamity. There was no death in this calamity, but the key was the time to endure. The longer one endured, the greater the benefits. This amount of pain was not something ordinary people could endure, not even the imperial family could last long. Most people could not wait for a complete shattering and would often choose to fuse halfway. As a result, the fortunes obtained were different between people. During the ancient Tao 3 soul splits, one can choose to fuse at any moment. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Since ancient times, there had been people with great perseverance. However, although this calamity caused no deaths, if one allowed their origin soul to completely shatter and then was unable to fuse it, death could happen. Therefore, even the imperial family and those with great perseverance rarely made this choice. Even if they did, they would only gamble once during the 1st split. Very few people dared to gamble their life during the 2nd split. Very few people had gambled a 3rd time, and almost all of them had died. Rumor had it that over the countless years, only the strongest Grand Empyrean, Jiyu Dao, had chosen to shatter completely and ultimately succeeded. Compared to the 2nd calamity of the 3rd trial, the 3rd calamity could not be considered a real calamity. The blessing of the ancient ancestor was, in fact, an award from the ancient ancestor. Perhaps it would be a sliver of memory, perhaps it would be an incomplete spell, or perhaps it would be a sliver of extremely pure ancient ancestor blood. And there was even that sliver of a chance it would be soul blood. However, that sliver of chance was only a rumor and was something future generations had made up. It was said that not even Grand Empyrean Jiyu Dao had obtained soul blood during his blessing of the ancient ancestor. However, it was rumored that what Grand Empyrean Gu Dao had obtained was extraordinary, but no one knew what it was. Wang Lin took a deep breath and his body began to tremble and his blood began to boil. Bursts of pain emerged and fused with the roar in his mind. They fused into a mysterious force that shrouded his entire body. At the same time, he clearly felt his origin soul beginning to show signs of shattering. It's finally begun. Wang Lin suddenly looked up, and his eyes were calm. He had waited 50 years for this day. Whether he could obtain more soul blood to allow Li Muwen's body to safely enter the immemorial god realm all depended on this. More and more cracks appeared on his origin soul and bursts of unimaginable pain followed. However, this level of pain was something Wang Lin could endure. However, this was just the beginning. In order to obtain the soul blood, I must endure the second calamity to the limit to see where it ends. There was a trace of decisiveness and determination in his eyes. He slowly closed his eyes to endure the arrival of the calamity. When Wang Lin was going through the second calamity, circular ripples appeared outside the ancestral temple. These ripples spread out in all directions and almost enveloped the entire ancient Sha imperial city. This strange phenomenon immediately attracted the attention of all the members of the ancient Sha. The ancient ancestor's statue is releasing halos, someone is going through the calamities. From the 9 halos, it seems like it's the third trial's second calamity. This should be the first split. If it was the second, there would be 18 halos. Strange, the ancestral temple would never open for just one individual. People always have to wait until the imperial family gathers enough people to open the ancestral temple. But I haven't heard of such things in recent years. I wonder how many people are attempting the calamity and how long they can last. Normally, it ends in just a few days. The people of the ancient Sha were not surprised about the halo from the ancient ancestor statue. It was obvious that they had seen this before, and after taking a few glances, they no longer paid attention to it. But what they didn't know is that when the 9 halos appeared, the ancient Sha Emperor and Jidu both looked over. 50 years. He has finally begun his first split. I wonder how long he can persist. In my ancient Sha, there have been someone who spent a year in the first split to reach perfection. I wonder if this person can do it. The ancient Sha Emperor quietly looked into the distance for a long time and then withdrew his gaze. Jidu was standing beside the window of his room, looking into the distance. His wife was beside him, also looking in that direction with him. "Godfather," Jidu murmured. His wife held his hand and gently looked at him. Also at this moment, on Origin Mountain, Song Qian walked out of his closed-door cultivation with his hands behind his back. He looked in the direction of the imperial city. With his cultivation level, he will definitely choose to completely split his soul the first time, so the time it will take will not be short. Forget it. When he was in closed-door cultivation before, I acted twice. Although I later recognized Jidu as the emperor, I did offend him first. And after he arrived, he didn't pursue this matter. I'll guard him during his first split as repayment. Song Qian flew into the air and disappeared. He appeared outside the ancestral temple and then sat down with his back toward the temple. No one is allowed to come within 10,000 feet of the ancestral temple. Violators will die. Song Qian's divine sense spread out. Wang Lin was enduring the pain of the soul split when he felt Song Qian's arrival and words. He knew Song Qian had come with the intention of guarding him. He took a deep breath and sent out a divine sense message to Song Qian. "Many thanks. No need, I'm only guarding you for the first split as repayment for acting against you." Song Qian didn't turn around but looked at the sky. After pondering a bit, he closed his eyes. The moment Wang Lin's divine sense withdrew, his body trembled and he looked up. Although he was suffering greatly under the first split, thanks to his current cultivation level, he could feel a figure silently looking over. Wang Lin was familiar with that figure. "Teacher," Wang Lin muttered. He knew his teacher wouldn't leave the ancient Dao for no reason. His teacher had come because Xian Luo wanted to protect him when he was at the weakest enduring the calamity. In the sky, Xian Luo looked down at the ancient Sha imperial city and the ancient ancestor statue. He could faintly feel Wang Lin's aura from the ancestral temple. He had a smile on his face and his gaze was gentle. You are already stronger than teacher. The only thing teacher can do is guard you while you're weak during the soul split. The feeling of teacher and disciple was not something that needed to be declared. Although Wang Lin and Xian Luo were no longer disciple and teacher, in Wang Lin's heart, Xian Luo would forever be his teacher. And in Xian Luo's heart, his only disciple was still this child he had brought from the cave world to the ancient clan. In the ancestral temple, although Wang Lin was experiencing intense pain, he felt warmth. He took a deep breath, he closed his eyes, and fully immersed himself in his origin soul as it split. With his teacher here, he didn't have to worry about anything else. In the blank of an eye, 3 days passed. During these 3 days, Wang Lin had sat there motionlessly, but the pain from his origin soul splitting became even more violent, like a storm sweeping through his body. As he sat there, a shadow appeared above him, and it was connected to his head. This shadow had cracks all over its body and the number of cracks was increasing. In some places, the cracks seemed to have connected, making for a shocking sight. This shadow was the external projection of Wang Lin's origin soul. If it was other members of the ancient clan, perhaps they could not endure the pain and would have chosen to fuse after 3 days. However, for Wang Lin, this was just the beginning and was far from the end. Another 3 days passed. The people of the ancient Sha imperial city had noticed that something was wrong. They felt like the halos around the ancient Sha statue were lasting longer than normal. It has lasted a total of 6 days, a few more days than normal. It looks like among the people going through the calamity, there are some with great perseverance. 6 days. I wonder who among this group lasted this long. Back then, I could not last past the 3rd day. That pain is not something that can be simply endured. This is to be expected from someone worthy of being guarded by Lord Song. However, although this attracted attention, 6 days of time was not long. People gradually forgot about the anomaly here. Until the 9th day, the 15th day, the 30th day, and after 2 months, the halos around the ancient ancestor statue still remained around the imperial city. At this time, more and more people of the ancient Sha would look at the ancient ancestor statue in shock. They felt like this batch of people had endured a bit too long. 2 months and no one has come out of the ancestral temple. Unless there is only one person going through the calamity. Who is this person for Lord Song to guard him? 2 months, he has actually endured 2 months. It looks like he chose to go through a large degree of soul splitting. Time unknowingly passed and another 6 months went by. Adding the 2 months from before, Wang Lin's first soul split had lasted for 8 months. During these 8 months, almost everyone in the ancient Sha imperial city would look toward the ancient ancestor statue to see if the halos were still there at the start of each day. More and more discussions filled the entire imperial city. This became a hot topic among the people in the imperial city. The people went from shock to horror and then from horror to excitement. Right now was the peak of their excitement. Because there were only 4 months from the 1-year record of the longest first soul split in the ancient Sha. Can he hold on for a year? It has to be said that the longest someone has lasted in the first soul split was 1 year. If he didn't die during the second split, he might have become a Grand Empyrean. 8 months, this person is really crazy to endure that kind of pain. Rumors say that Lord Song endured for 11 months in the past. As the people of the ancient Sha debated, Wang Lin was still sitting motionlessly. However, the shadow around him was already in pieces. The legs of the shadow had disappeared and only half the figure remained. This figure was completely blurry, as if it would dissipate at any moment. Although Wang Lin's eyes were closed, he was enduring intense pain. Having his origin soul split bit by bit was like being cut by thousands of knives. He had to remain conscious during the entire process. 8 months of suffering didn't make him give up. He was going to wait for his origin soul to completely shatter before he fused. The roar from the ancient ancestor was the only thing left in his mind. If I want the sky to collapse, it will collapse. If I want this earth to break, it will break. If I want a being to die, no one would dare to stop me. If I want no celestials to remain alive, who would dare to save them? As he endured with his full strength, the 9th month arrived, then the 10th and 11th months passed in the blink of an eye. Song Qian was sitting outside the ancestral temple, guarding Wang Lin for the 11th month. He was not surprised that Wang Lin could last until now, and he speculated that Wang Lin should be able to last for about a year. In truth, 1 year of time is only enough to allow the origin soul to become fragments. Only that one crazy person countless years ago endured for 28 months for the fragments to become dust. Song Qian didn't look back at the ancestral temple and calculated the time. When the 12th month passed and 2 more months passed, the entire ancient Shu was in an uproar. They all looked at the ancient ancestor statue, wondering who this person was and how long that person could last. 14 months. Indeed worthy of Lord Wang. In the palace, the old emperor let out a sigh. On this day, in the 14th month, only a head remained on the shadow. It was filled with cracks, and as a burst of light appeared from within, it collapsed. When the head of the shadow collapsed, there no longer seemed to be a shadow over Wang Lin, but if one used their divine sense, they would find a large amount of fragments floating around that were still collapsing. At this moment, Wang Lin's body had no vitality, as if he were dead. The blood in his body no longer moved and his body had become cold. He had lost his mind as if he was really dead. His only existence was a will, the will to endure until the very end to fuse again. If he succeeded, he would be reborn, but if he failed, he would disappear. Will I fail? No. I will never fail. In his mind, the roar of the ancient ancestor still echoed. These invisible fragments slowly shattered as another 4 months passed. Wang Lin had endured the first soul split for a total of 18 months. This time, even Song Qian was moved. He turned to face the temple and looked at it. If he was like this, there was no need to talk about the people of the ancient Shu. The 18 months had made them used to the halos that were always there. However, the disbelief they felt made it impossible for them to get used to it. The 19th month, 20th month, until the 27th month. Wang Lin had endured for more than 2 years, and inside the ancestral temple, about 80% of those invisible fragments had completely broken down. Only few remaining fragments continued to split. The 30th month passed. During these 2.5 years, if not for the fact that Song Qian could feel Wang Lin's will inside the ancestral temple, he would have thought Wang Lin was dead. Madman. For him to have such strength, it must be related to this madness. Does he not know that a complete shattering leads to death? Song Qian had already stood up. He was standing outside the temple with an uncertain expression. When the 30 months arrived, there was some change in the heart of the ancient Shu emperor. Although he still called Ji Du over as normal, there was something hidden in his eyes. However, only he knew what it was. However, what the emperor didn't know was that Ji Du had also noticed this, but he didn't care. At this moment, he was anxious, not for his position as emperor, but the safety of his godfather. When the 35th month passed, even Xian Luo, who had been guarding Wang Lin in the sky, became anxious. He wanted to remind Wang Lin but was afraid that there might be an accident. The 36th month, Xian Luo was hesitating when the 9 halos suddenly shined brightly. The light spread in all directions and swept across the ancient Shu imperial capital. The entire city became silent as all the ancient Shu clan members looked over at the ancient ancestor statue. Xian Luo got up and excitedly looked over. Song Qian gasped, then he retreated 10,000 feet and looked over. In the palace, the ancient Shu emperor was nervous as he stood beside the window and stared at the direction of the ancestral temple. Ji Du personally arrived 10,000 feet outside the ancestral temple and anxiously looked over. In the ancestral temple, light shined on Wang Lin's motionless body. Countless specks of light condensed on his body, forming a shadow that was many times larger than before. It shined brightly and gave off a shocking pressure. When the shadow condensed, the 9 halos around the ancient ancestor statue suddenly merged into one. It released a bright light and made the night look like it was day. Also at this moment, the halos that had fused into one split into 18 halos that floated around the ancient ancestor statue. The first soul split is complete. 36 months, a total of 3 years. Song Jian looked at this scene and muttered to himself, a complete shattering and perfect fusion. Some of the ancient clan members believed that the ancient ancestor was not dead and was still alive. Most people believed that even if the ancient ancestor was dead, his spirit was still there. The ancient ancestor's spirit was still guarding the 3 clans. Otherwise, how could the strange scene that took place during the trials at the ancestral temple in the 3 clans be explained, and how could the blessing given by the ancient ancestor statue be explained? How could the halos that appeared around the ancient ancestor statue when someone was going through the ancient Dao 3 soul splits be explained? During the ancient Dao 3 soul splits, when the first soul split happens, 9 halos appear around the ancient ancestor statue. During the second soul split, 18 halos would appear, and during the third soul split, a total of 27 halos would appear. At this moment, in the Imperial City, outside the ancient ancestor statue, 18 halos were shining and ripples were spreading in all directions, attracting the attention of everyone in the Imperial City. Song Jian was standing 10,000 feet outside the ancestral city, looking at the 18 halos. He silently pondered for a moment before he turned to leave. 3 years ago, he had come to compensate for his actions and for his own peace of mind. Now he had guarded Wang Lin for 3 years. Although he wasn't the only one here, he had made his decision. If Wang Lin had faced danger during these 3 years, he would certainly have helped. Now that the first soul split was complete, he felt that there was no reason to stay. He didn't look back when he returned to his origin mountain. He stopped paying attention to the ancestral temple and began to cultivate. Wang Lin clearly felt Song Jian's departure. As he sat inside the ancestral temple, the shadow above him was much larger than before. Although Wang Lin's cultivation level hadn't increased, he could feel that he was stronger than before. With his current cultivation level, even a small increase in strength was still shocking. If I can completely pass this calamity with perfection each time and get the soul blood, will I be able to pass the 4th bridge when I go back to the heaven-trampling bridges? Wang Lin muttered to himself. Wang Lin took a deep breath and his eyes shined. He looked at the shadow above his head. The first soul split took 3 years. The last moments were almost like death. If not for my will, then I fear I wouldn't have been able to fuse back together. This ancient Dao 3 soul splits is related to willpower. But also luck. Wang Lin frowned, and now he fully understood why so few people chose to attempt a complete split. Luck may come once, or maybe even twice, but 3 times in a row was very unlikely. Then this second time, Wang Lin closed his eyes, and after a long time, he reopened them. He was determined. Luck is important, but if one has a powerful enough will to surpass luck everything, that works fine as well. Wang Lin formed a seal with his hand and the shadow appeared above him. He closed his eyes once more. The moment he closed his eyes, the shadow above his head trembled and thin cracks appeared on it. The second soul split began. In the sky of the Imperial City, Xian Luo looked down with a smile. He sat down and continued to guard his disciple. In his heart, although the ancient Dao needed his protection, his disciple, who would be weakened during this soul split, also needed his protection. In a flash, 3 years passed. The 18 halos above the ancient Sha Imperial City seemed to have become part of the city. Many people of the ancient Sha seemed to have become used to their existence. Although they would still pay attention to the halos, their curiosity had slowly dissipated as time passed. Now they only had one guess remaining in their hearts. They were guessing how long this person can endure the second soul split. After 3 years passed, another 3 years went by. After a total of 6 years, the 18 halos around the ancient ancestor statue remained. This made it so there was no difference between day and night in the Imperial City. Even at night, the light from the halos lit up the entire Imperial Palace. 10 years had passed since the second soul split began. Some of the younger children born during this time thought that the sky of the Imperial City had always been like this. The rumor of 10 years of soul split gradually spread across the ancient clan. Even people of the ancient Dao and ancient Ji had come to see. Time continued to pass. When the 10th year passed, the head of the shadow above Wang Lin shattered completely. He was suffering unimaginable pain, but he still endured. Those invisible fragments continued to break down, and once they became dust, it would represent the second time his origin soul had shattered completely. The ancient Sha Emperor seemed to have given up on some unrealistic ideas and had stopped paying attention to the ancient ancestor statue. He focused on guiding Ji-du to slowly inherit the throne. There were less than 40 years left until Ji-du would inherit the throne. For mortals, 40 years was half their life, but for the ancient clan, although it was long, it was not far away. As Ji-du gradually gained control over the various secrets of the ancient Sha, another 3 years passed. Wang Lin's second soul split had lasted for 13 years. Half a year ago, a powerful pressure had spread out from the ancestral temple and produced a strange force. This force stopped all divine senses and people from entering. Xian Luo was worried as he looked down from the sky. Even his divine sense could not enter, and he could feel that he couldn't even walk into the ancestral temple with this force surrounding it. This power belonged to the ancient ancestor, and it came from that drop of soul blood. When this happened to the ancestral temple, Song Qian, who originally wanted to ignore this, suddenly opened his eyes. There was a trace of doubt as he looked in the direction of the ancestral temple. The 13th year passed and the 14th year arrived. When the mysterious power spread out, Wang Lin's aura had disappeared completely. It was unknown if he was alive or dead, not even the wool that remained during the first soul split could be detected. The only sign that pointed to the fact that Wang Lin was not dead was the 18 halos around the ancient ancestor statue. No one knew that the countless fragments from Wang Lin's collapsed shadow had completely shattered into dust 6 months ago. However, after they shattered, he had been unable to fuse them again. Wang Lin had used this powerful wool to attempt to fuse them several times, but still hadn't succeeded. His wool had slowly weakened after he tried to fuse several times, so it was extremely weak now. All his vitality was gone and only a small amount of wool remained when he tried to fuse again and again. A large number of specks of light would gather to form a shadow, but they would soon become unstable and collapse into dust before disappearing. This was the 13th time. Without a divine sense or a consciousness, Wang Lin used the little amount of wool he had left to begin the 14th fusion. A large amount of specks of light condensed when the 14th year passed by. The 15th year arrived. When the 15th year arrived, something shocking happened to the 18 halos around the ancient ancestor statue. This caught the attention of all the people who were used to the halos being there and caused an uproar across the entire city. Even the ancient Sha Emperor, who no longer paid attention to this, came out of his chamber and looked at the ancient ancestor statue. He took a deep breath. Ji-du flew into the air and nervously looked over. He unconsciously clenched his fist. Song Qian stood at the top of the Horn on Origin Mountain and his expression was uncertain. One of the 18 halos suddenly dimmed and soon shattered into countless pieces. As a result, only 17 halos remained around the ancient ancestor statue. The halos have shattered. What is the cause? Could this person's second soul split have failed and now they are dead? Otherwise, the halos should never shatter and dissipate. I remember. Back then, I heard that the 3 soul splits are not endless and there is a time limit. Could it be this person have reached the time limit on the second soul split? Bursts of discussions echoed inside the ancient Sha imperial city. Wang Lin has reached the time limit of the second soul split. If all 18 halos disappear and he hasn't fused his origin soul back together, then his soul will be gone. Song Qian took a deep breath as he looked at the temple and frowned. In the sky, when Xian Luo saw this, his expression changed. He naturally knew the reason behind the halo disappearing. He didn't hesitate to charge at the ancestral temple. Song Qian had long known Xian Luo was present, but he hadn't pointed it out. When he saw Xian Luo's figure, he hesitated a bit but didn't stop him. Xian Luo instantly arrived before the ancestral temple and stepped inside without hesitation. A powerful rebound force rushed out and shook Xian Luo's body. He could not enter and was blocked outside. At this moment, the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, the 11th halo all shattered one by one. This video will end here.